Well, hello everybody. Oh, so I went through a bout of depression. Been pretty depressed for the last week or 2 weeks or so. I haven't made any videos. Hard to make any videos. Just kind of coming out of the depression now. It wasn't all so bad. I mean, I learned a lot about myself. You learn quite a bit when you I don't know how to explain it. But it sucked, but it was also a very enlightening experience. Understanding more about the childhood wounds, childhood trauma, stuff like that, and getting to the roots. Getting to the roots is never easy, quite difficult, and painful. It's cold out here. I was going to talk a little bit about Solipsism. I know that Leo took down his video, but I watched about an hour of it, although I feel like I understand the topic, so might try to explain as much as I can here. So solipsism, as I understand it, it is the theory or belief or viewpoint that all that is known to exist is the self. But to understand truly what solipsism is, one must understand what the self is. I need to put on a glove here. Cold. Here I am in Fargo, North Dakota. Cold, wintry, like 3/4 out of the year. It sucks. I want to move somewhere that has more sunshine, warmer. Part of the depression is seasonal depression, whatever. Getting sidetracked. So, the self. The self is all there is. You are all that exists. And when I say you, or the self, one may automatically refer to themselves as like the ego mind, or the body, or the personality of a person, their human being self. This is not the complete self. This is only a partition of the self. So it's not the self as a whole. I like to use Leo's capital S self as the absolute self that encapsulates lowercase self. And lowercase self is who you think you are, and the capital S self is who you really are. So the self, you may think of it as you are the perceiver, perceiving reality, okay? So that would be the lowercase self. What's actually happening, and that you don't necessarily realize, might not realize, is that you're actually the meta perceiver. So you're actually perceiving a perceiver that's perceiving reality. So there's another step. There's an extra step that goes unnoticed. So in order for there to be like a human being perceiving anything, one must first perceive a human being. This might get a little confusing, I guess. But it's important to understand what the self is before getting into solipsism. And if you understand the self, you'll understand solipsism. So, the self, capital S self, is consciousness itself. The void, the nothingness that dreams up all of reality. So, let's see. So, reality is a hallucination being imagined or thought up by your brain, right? But even further, your brain is thought up. So it gets really confusing, but it's really awesome. I'm tired. I've been not getting the best sleep. Actually been sleeping too much. That's what happens when you're depressed. You want to lay in bed all day. I've been having really awesome dreams. Some flying dreams. Some not too awesome dreams too. So, yeah, the brain, your what you think is your brain is kind of like a receiver for consciousness, but nothing's really anywhere else. Everything's right here, right now. So there's two different sides to how solipsism can be perceived. There's relative solipsism, and then there's absolute solipsism. Usually people think that when they say like you're all that exists, they think themselves as the person is all that exists, and everything else is just a figment of their imagination, and every other person they call NPCs, and that's just not the case. It is the case from that relative viewpoint, but that's just not the case, because who you are is consciousness, or there aren't really any words for it, because it exists prior to words itself. So, see, I'm in a state of God consciousness right now, but I can't talk about it. I can't tell you about it. It's kind of like it gets more difficult to talk about, to transmit my experience through words. The words that I use to describe the experience that I'm having is not the experience in itself, so it's always lost in translation, unfortunately. You're not necessarily a human being here. You are they talk about it, the field, right? You're the field. you're not what is aware. You are awareness itself, being aware of someone who believes that they are aware. It's this. See, God has to trick itself into thinking that it's not God. So it has to go through this process of faking itself out to make you believe that you're just this finite, separate individual when really you're everything in the universe. You are the universe. You are the whole thing, the whole shebang. And just because you can become conscious that you are the all without this is really difficult to speak on, because you don't stop existing as a separate individual self. The reason for that is, well, you've been programmed. There's a bunch of conditioning. There's a bunch of trauma. There's so much programmed into this, what you call a physical body and entity and personality and psyche, that keeps you grounded in separation. And that's important because the whole reason